What's up, JD
What
six eight
up?
five?
What up, Madison?
I think it's so funny. Every time we go live, we have like somewhere between 5 or 10 viewers, like immediately. And then as the countdown's playing, literally as the countdown's playing, they go away. And I'm like, you can't wait 10 seconds.
You don't even know what we're gonna say. We might have breaking news.
We might have breaking news.
The Summit League tournament is moving to Omaha in 2030. Take it.
Can you imagine?
It's
I can
provocative.
already
It gets
hear
people
I can
going.
already hear the elderly people being like, it's so cold in here.
You know? Right?
When I used to work at a diner, that was one thing I hated because I'm typically like a warm person. I'm always warm. I sleep with fans on in the middle of January, like I just have to. And it would be not that cold. It'd be like 70, 72 in the restaurant. And the little old ladies, jacket or not, some of them wouldn't bring a jacket and that would piss me off. But they'd be like, "Can you turn it up in here?" And I'm like, "Man, do you see the sweat dripping down my face? When I'm trying to avoid getting into your food, like I am running around this joint. I am not going to be turning it up to 75. Like, no, thank you. I
Eat your soup a little
apologize, but
quicker and it won't get cold.
yes. Would you like a waitress passed out, or would you like a waitress that can actually like serve you? No, one time we had this. There was these two ladies that always came in, sometimes with the church group, sometimes by themselves, and they would pray before they ate, and like that's cool. I was raised in a Christian home, like I prayed before I ate, no big deal. But like real long prayers. Like literally their breakfast would come out, egg like steaming hot, just came off the grill, and she'd get done praying and be like, "This is cold." And I'm like, "Jesus was telling you to eat that 8 minutes ago. Like, what is you doing?" But that's just me. That's just me.
Let me take out a warmer for you next time so we can just set your plates and bowls on them.
Yeah. The amount of times I had to put something in the microwave, like, I just can't. A microwaved egg, like, that doesn't even sound good. Just eat it while it's hot.
Is it Whiskey Creek? And there's one in Brookings and Watertown. So the
Yeah.
coldest food I ever had was this was over a decade ago, but I'll clearly never forget it. I just got a steak, garlic mashed potatoes, and like the steamed veggies or whatever, just a plate. This was, I think, either freshman in college when I was back home. And the steak, I ordered medium rare. We always do. It came out well done. So they killed the cow twice. And the mashed potatoes were as if they scooped it like ice cream. They were freezing. And I went, this is ice cold. And they go back, and I was at an angle where I could see and hear them just put it in the microwave. And they brought it out, and I was like, "Did you microwave my steak on the same plate as the potatoes?" I said, because it was already well done. And so I got up while the waitress was bringing the food out. I said, I'm done. I'm not eating here. And I bolted. And so every time I like drive past it, it's always like, I don't care if the food is fantastic now. I'm never going back there.
That is so wild to me. Which one did you say it was at?
The Watertown Whiskey Creek.
Watertown. Okay. We have one in Mitchell. I believe it's past tense now. I literally never had a bad experience. I only went to Whiskey Creek like 5 or 6 times between Mitchell and Brookings, but I literally never had a bad experience. But so many people did. So it's wild to me that I don't know. I must have just gotten lucky, but yeah, microwaved steak, no, thank you. With actually, you were at USD on Saturday, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we can start with that game, and I'll let you have the floor with that. You can talk about TDP, Native American Heritage Day, all the things.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, so that game was phenomenal. Took the fam to it. 2,600 people, and it looked and felt like it too. It was Native American heritage game. I think it's the third year USD's done this. but it's really cool. The pregame stuff, they honor Native American student athletes at USD, faculty, alumni throughout the game. I'm going to butcher what it's actually called, but it's like the Lakota anthem is done before the game, and they have reps do that. And at halftime, 1964 gold medal winner, USD grad, Billy Mills was in the crowd. He was honored. They did I don't know the proper term, but like a dance to commemorate him, gave him a cool quilt and whatnot. And it was just so cool to see. And I'm really glad that USD does. They invited a lot of high school kids, Native American from the tribes in South Dakota, and probably easily over 200, 250 of those students that got to tour USD, check out the programs, and go to the game. Also found out after the game, I was like, God, there's a lot of high school looking kids like in one section in the corner, and found out that was juniors visit day for the football program. They invited them all to come to the game too. But anyways, so from an atmosphere standpoint, it was really cool to see that. And like I said, took the fam, and the boys loved it. Basketball wise, the pressure by Kansas City was something else.
I told y'all.
I know.
I
believed you on a stat sheet and from like hearing you, but to watch it, the pressure was, and the fight and the tenacity and just the perseverance and resiliency of Kansas City was a treat to see. And we kept making the comment during the game. I was like, God, USD, they're shooting it so well. It's like one of those games where you watch and you're going, okay, they're up, 10, 15 points. You look at the scoreboard, they're up 3. Like it should have been more, but Kansas City hung in there. I wrote some notes here. Elena, number 3, Contreras. Contreras. Her pressure, they did at times like a full court press until the ball was inbounded, but she stayed on Grace. Like, you're going to take 8 seconds to get across this timeline. You're not going to have it easy. And it wore down USD at times. You could see that. The game ended 72-62, but for those that watched, that's a 3-4 point win. KC kept fouling at the end. USD kept making free throws. So that was a gritty win for USD, but man, that was fun to see. It was an intense game too.
Yeah, typically I have at least 3 screens up because Midco will only let me watch 3. But this, I think I can't remember what else we might have been watching on Saturday, but I think gymnastics was on. So we had that on one screen, and then we were just switching between games. So typically I'll go back and forth, but I had that USD Kansas City game on for the majority of it. And the good thing on Saturday is they were a little bit spread out, not as much as spread out as I would like them to be, but they were a little bit spread out, so I could catch, the first half of one game, the first half of the next game, whatever. But yeah, certainly did not take my eyes away from that game. Looking at the box score here, Elena Contreras, like we said, came up really big for Kansas City. She had 24 points and 5 assists. She played 38 minutes. And I assume that will be consistent for her throughout the rest of the season. And then Dom Phillips had 13 points in 4 rebounds for them. For the Yotes, Grace Larkins with 21 points, 8 rebounds. Alexi Hempy with 11 points, 4 rebounds. Natalie Mazurek with 9 and 6, and TDP with 8 points.
And a couple of things, Madison, with the USD side too. So one, Grace Larkins moved to 24th all time in scoring. She passed Madison McKeever and Liv Korngable on the all-time scoring list. But one thing, and we talked about this on the Back to Pack podcast too. Shameless plug there. But Natalie Mazurek has evolved and developed into this player that can stretch the floor. She's really good at the pick and roll and spotting up and shooting from 3. She's getting good looks. She doesn't take a ton of them, but she's efficient in that regard. And she can create a lot of really good offense for Grace and Kendall and Alexi and all the other gals. You don't really notice it on a stat sheet. And like I said, the more you watch, and like especially seeing it live and in person, you're like, this is such a good, efficient presence on the court that if USD wants to take that next step and get up into that tier 1 realm to close out the year, she's been contributing, but she needs to continue to contribute good minutes off the bench for USD.
Yeah, absolutely. To keep on USD while we're there, I know we're talking about Saturday, but we can jump back to Thursday. They had a 78-70 win over DU. Kettle Holmes led in that game, by the way, for USD with 22 points. Natalie Mazurek tacked on 16. And then the usual suspects spread out over the rest of the points. But I do want to give Denver a lot of credit. Denver is a team that plays a few sophomores, starts a few sophomores. They have their upper class, like Emily Council and Michaela Bennett, but they have their underclassmen who are being asked to do a lot and kind of run the show. And I think it's just going to take time for them. That's a team, if you look, that hasn't really dipped into the transfer portal as much. And I don't think any Summit League schools really have a ton. It seems like they all kind of come up through the program. But I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for them. I am not going to lie, was definitely rooting for Denver. One, because I'm a Jackrabbit, duh. And two, because I want people to understand that the whole the league is down and this and that. I hate that narrative, and I always will. I think especially last year, but also these teams that are in the bottom tier, as the ceiling continues to rise, as the SDSUs and the NDSUs and the USDs and even the St. Thomas's continue to push the ceiling up, the floor is also being brought up. What Dosha's doing at Denver, what Carrie's doing at Omaha, what Deanna's doing in Kansas City. There's literally 11 new players on Kansas City's roster. Whole freaking team's new.
You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell.
Exactly.
They play really well together. I'm not sure what the best rotation is, and has been the year, but they don't play like this is their first year together.
And she continues to change the lineup as well. So I just think that as the ceiling continues to rise, I think that those three schools that have traditionally been at the bottom the past 5 years or so are also raising the floor. So even if it doesn't look like it, I think that the league is trending in an upward direction. And want to give credit to Denver for pushing USD to its limit. USD had 2 really close games this weekend.
So listen, we talked. Oh, I'm sorry, Madison. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna throw some stats out. So go ahead. I can do that when you're done.
Oh, just really quick. There was, and I myself looked at it too, and I went, well, if Grace hadn't gotten in foul trouble, this could have been a different story. I'm hypocritical of myself when I say that because Denver forced her to be in foul trouble. Denver played a good game. A really good game. Yeah, kept it close. Shot lights out in the second quarter. I want to say I read 65 to 70% Denver shot in the second quarter or something like that. But you're right. They got 2 sophomores, Jordan Jones, Emma Smith, that led the way that game. Young team that competes. They've shown they've competed. Even in that, we'll get to it, but even in the Omaha game on Saturday.
Yeah.
They compete.
JoJo in that USD game played a full 40.
Cheapers. Double.
Didn't sit. And she had a double, 18 points, 10 rebounds. Emma Smith, 14 points. Emily Council tacked on 11. And looks like Angie Robles had 9 as well. And the rest were pretty spread out. So just want to hand it to Denver. I think even if their record doesn't show it, there are good things happening there. And they were so close to getting that win this weekend. I hope it comes sooner rather than later. But I honestly think, and I know we say this, yeah, I honestly think when we get to Sioux Falls, there's just no telling. Even the teams that you think are going to win may not necessarily win. So, and Denver is going to be out for revenge. If you remember, they lost on a buzzer beater to Kansas City.
Yep.
Last year at the Summit League tournament. And the funniest thing about that to me is I looked over at Dosha when that shot went up And she just had a smile on her face because, like, what can you even do in that moment? Like, there's literally just nothing you can do. So I hope for her and the team that they get a couple of those wins before Sioux Falls. But if it comes down to it, I hope they get their revenge in Sioux Falls, whether it be on Kansas City or anyone in the rest of the league.
My cat is causing some chaos.
Your cat? What's your cat's name? Do you remember last year? I can't remember what you said. Maybe it's 2 years ago. You said like cat and throw in the same sentence, and they thought you were throwing your cat. And I was like, can we maybe not do that? But I've watched you throw things to make your cat move several times.
I don't throw stuff at her. It's just in the general direction because she likes to climb and like obviously like all cats do, but the boys have like this art wall and she likes to like scratch at the paper. I'm not cleaning that mess up.
Oh, absolutely not. We have one comment from this guy. I don't know who that is. And I don't know what he's laughing at, but I'll ask him when I get off the podcast and come out of the office.
Maybe he laughed at me throwing my rubber chicken at my cat.
Maybe. Our dog went back to the vet today. She was certainly not happy about it. I think she knew where she was going when she left the house.
Okay.
But she's doing better. Oh, cat.
Puppers.
That's kind of blurry.
So shout out to my pup Rockney. It's his birthday today. He's 6. So he got
happy birthday.
You say hi to Twitter. Rockney, Twitter. All right. Bye.
Okay, bye. All right. Let's Thursday. Let's talk briefly about NDSU St. Thomas. I am a little disappointed in myself, more disappointed in St. Thomas for making me look really freaking stupid. Because I said it was going to be close, and it was just, I think it was a combination of St. Thomas not being themselves and NDSU being very much themselves. Like St. Thomas had a bad day and NDSU had an amazing day. For St. Thomas, Amber Scalia led the Toms with 15 points. Nothing else really jumps out on the stat sheet. 6 rebounds for Joe Langbin. But other than that, one thing about Ruth Sin that I see, I don't know if you remember earlier this season, I talked about how we were starting to see a little bit of that balance from the Tommies like South Dakota State has. Certainly not the same level, but getting there. And I think it was partially due to off-season injuries and early like non-con injuries that Coach Sin was kind of watching the miles she was putting on her players. But in this game, for the minutes column, 22, 21, 28, 21, 30, and a 25. So 25, 28, 30 are the highest. The rest are kind of like really, really scattered out and really low. And I don't, not really low, but really, really spread. And I don't necessarily see another team doing that right now. So that might be something to kind of pay attention to. But not a great day for the Toms. For the Bison, Elle Evans, 29 points. Elle Evans is a rock. Career high. Yeah, she's amazing. And she's just a sophomore. So I feel like she's going to be
loaded sophomore class in the Summit League.
Yes. Loaded. There's so many people that like, I remember when it was like, oh, Hannah Sherman, why can't she graduate? Or oh, Maya Sellen, why can't she graduate or whatever? That is going to be the Elle Evans, the Emma Smiths, all these sophomores that are so dang good are just going to tantalize everyone else in the league. Behind her, Heaven Hamling, 22 points, 7 rebounds, and then 9 points for Abby Draper, 4 rebounds for Abby Kay. Elle Evans definitely carried that game, but I don't think the Bison necessarily needed her to. I think she was just kind of, I'm going to go off. And they were like, okay, bestie, do your thing.
One thing I pulled, Madison, from the recap from NDSU, listen to these runs that they had in the game. Ultimately, when you do the point differential, this is where you this is where you get the point spread. So 15-1 run to start the second, 12-2 run to start the third, and then an 11-0 run to end the third quarter. Those are 3 huge runs in the middle of the game that they had, and they did. Obviously, they never looked back. 8-0 at home this year. 19-1. You'll like this because the state's been the the most dominant over the last 4 years. I think regular season. Alex Heinert tweeted something like 56-1. I want to say, if that was correct, his tweet.
Yeah, 54-1 or 56-1, something like that.
NDSU at home the last 20 games, 19-1.
Yeah,
that's insane. That's fantastic. What do they call theirs up there? Shack, SHAC.
At the Shack, the Sanford Health Athletic Complex, I think.
Cool.
Or Athletic Center, Athletic Complex, something like that.
Something.
Yeah.
It's got a bunch of Buffalo.
They have good. The Shack, the BBF, they have some good, like, easy to say acronyms or whatever. Okay, let us move on. What's the next game after that? We talked DUSD. Oral Roberts, Omaha. Okay, so I just gave that soapbox speech about Omaha being one of the schools that's also raising the floor as the ceiling gets raised. It'd be so great if my internet would work. Thank you very much. All right, Thursday night. So Oral Roberts gets a 10-point win over Omaha. However, that was a 4 to 5 point win. Very down to the wire. I mean, my allegiances are torn unless the Jacks are playing. Sometimes when the Jacks are playing, even my allegiances are torn. I wanted it for Omaha to get their first win, but also ORU is so hot right now, and I need them to continue on that streak so that people will actually understand that there are other good teams in the league outside of SDSU, NDSU, and USD, because there are other really great teams in the league outside of those, the three that we kind of always consistently talk about. ORU, God, are they 10-0, 11-0 at home, something like that this season?
Yeah, I think 10.
So they're also, I mean, defending the Mabee Center very well. And they came to Brookings on Sunday and gave SDSU a run for their money in the first half. I guess I'm kind of switching back and forth between games here. But gave the Jacks a run for their money in the first half. And I feel like, you know, AJ said in his halftime interview, like, the turnovers are literally killing us. And I don't disagree. It was like 13 or 15 turnovers midway through the second quarter already. I don't disagree that the turnovers were killing them. And I don't disagree that SDSU is better than that. Of course I think that. However, I think you cannot, as someone watching that game, you absolutely cannot fail to give credit to ORU for that. ORU is the only team in the league, with the exception of maybe Kansas City on a really good day, that presses that hard that much. SDSU does not face that anywhere else in the league consistently. So, like, of course it's going to throw them off. That's literally the point. Kelsey Music's whole thing was speed kills. That's exactly what they were trying to do, is play at an extremely high octane offensive pace and press all the time. That's going to force turnovers. So, like, while I think, yes, SDSU has to play tighter, has to pass smarter, you can make a really good pass and a really smart pass, but all it takes is a really quick Hannah Cooper to get into the passing lane. Like, you can't literally make a pass every single time where it's not possible for someone to get into the lane and knock it out. That's just not, like, how the game works. So, long rant to say, I think you have to give ORU some credit for the way they played that day. I think you also have to give AJ some credit for whatever he said in the locker room. Because
Seriously.
that was a different team that we saw in the second half, made ORU look like they eat dirt. Like, it was, I mean, it was
37-37 at halftime. SDSU scored 33 points in the third quarter. Would love to know what he said.
Yeah.
Did he just go Bill Belichick and go, "You're better than that. Show it"?
I mean, according to Matt Zimmer, that's essentially what he said in the third quarter of the USD game. Matt was behind the bench and tweeted, AJ just told the girls, "You're not playing hard enough." That's essentially what he did. It seemed to work. So anyway, to get back to ORU, Omaha, I was really impressed with the way Omaha played. And I think that Kelsey Music would probably tell you that wasn't ORU's best game. But I don't think that it's a discredit to ORU. I think they still played pretty much their game. They still scored 88 points, which is around their average. I think it's actually higher than their average as of last week. But in that game, Hannah Cooper, 19 points, 5 rebounds. We have to talk about Ruthie Udomo. Double-double. She's literally averaging a double-double.
I think she
That's
leads the league according to the
wild.
recap, right? 9 or 10 of them this year.
Yes. And she's
That's
averaging a double-double. She had 13 points, 16 rebounds. Talia Jones had 12 points. Jaylee Oglesby had 15 points and 8 rebounds. And Makira Tramble had 13 points and 6 rebounds. So is that five in double digits? 19,
Makaya,
15,
that's
13,
her.
14.
That sounds like a new name. Is that her first game this year?
That would be something to investigate. I can deep dive on that later. Definitely a name we've not said.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other, Emily Robinson is a name we haven't said a lot. Megan Weinrich has been kind of in there, and Gentry Baldwin's been getting some minutes, but not super productive on the stat sheet. I don't want to say not productive on the court, but Jaylee Oglesby is one that we've kind of said, but the past 3 or 4 games or so, she's been making a case for herself as well. So, Omaha in that game, Kennedy Grant, 17 points, 8 rebounds. Cora Olson, she's the freshman. Oh, God. Millard South, maybe? Don't get mad at me. Omaha area. She came out of a really good high school in the Omaha area. I can't remember if it was like Millard or La Vista. I'm not sure. But she had 13 points as well. 8 apiece for Leah Stanley and Morgan Gardner. Oh, sorry, Grace Cave. Grace Cave had 14 points. I just skipped right over her. I was looking for her because I wanted to see how productive she's been since her return. But yeah, anyways, better game for Omaha. They looked more put together. They shared the ball well, moved the ball well. It was ORU and couldn't quite get over that hump.
Yeah, from looking back on it too, yeah, you're right. What you said initially, it was closer than the 10-point game. Sounds like it just stretched at the end to that 10-point mark. But admirable performance by Omaha. There's just no slowing down this ORU offense. Like there isn't. I mean, you got to do what SDSU did, right? You got to score first to 90, first to 85 wins.
Yeah, absolutely. On Thursday, I don't want to hammer this one too much. SDSU 72-49 over Kansas City, down in Kansas City. Started well for Kansas City. First quarter was okay. After that, nothing too appealing there.
Yeah, moving I read the recaps. It didn't sound too much. They just sound like a combo of a good game by State, bad game by KC.
Yeah, for sure. Moving to Saturday, St. Thomas got a win over UND, 76-66, 10-point win there. Amber Scalia, this was Amber Scalia's game. Amber Scalia pulled an L. Evans, essentially.
Sophomore, by the way.
She had 30. Amber's a junior.
Oh, is she a junior? Oh, dang, I thought she was another super soft.
She's still young. She doesn't have a COVID year, but she'll have next year yet. Amber Scalia had 32 points, 5 rebounds. Jade Hill had 12 points. Sammy Opitchka with 11 points. And looks like Jordan Glynn with 9 points and 7 rebounds. So they're kind of getting their mix in there too. The usual suspects plus a 1 or 2 people that haven't contributed as much as of late. 32 points in the paint.
We only have one game, Madison?
Yeah, UND had the bye.
North Dakota State, they had one too.
Wait.
Am I blind?
Hold on. I have to get out of the stat sheet to look at the schedule.
How did the North Dakota schools only have one?
Both of them did. Yeah.
Odd. Right? Am I just having a brain lapse here? Or is it normally just one team that has it?
I think, okay, hold on. I think it looks weird because we had the Sunday game. But see, Kansas City played twice, ORU played twice, SDSU played twice, St. Thomas twice, DU twice, Omaha twice, USD twice.
Yeah, that's right.
Wild.
regardless,
That doesn't make sense though. Because
2,
last
4,
week,
6,
only one team. Who had the bye last week? Kansas City had the bye last week.
KC.
And St. Thomas. St. Thomas only played one game last week too.
Okay. So we're not losing.
Has it been that way? But has it been that way every week?
I'm not going to say because I don't want to embarrass us.
Dude, how did we not know that?
I mean, it makes sense. You have 8 teams playing.
It absolutely makes sense.
Whatever.
Wild.
Good bounce back win by St. Thomas. That was a good bounce back win.
We talked Kansas City USD. Denver Omaha, man. This one was where my allegiances were absolutely torn because it's 2 teams that need that Summit League win. And it was absolutely a battle. Omaha comes away 80-77 over DU. We'll start with DU. Angie Robles had her breakout game, 28 points, 6 rebounds. Michaela Manette with the double-double again, 20 points and 18 rebounds. That is dirty. That's disgusting. It's literally stupid. Yeah. I honestly, okay, let's have this conversation. I can't say that I've been paying a ton of attention defensively. But like off the top of your head, who's in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year?
Oh, you put me on the spot like that? I
think Manette would have to be in it. If you're averaging a double-double and getting that many rebounds.
Yeah, Manette.
I think maybe. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to pull up some defensive stats because
without looking at the stats, I'm saying Michaela Manette and Brooklyn Meyer. Those are the names that are like in my.
I'd put Brooklyn up there for sure. Yeah, those would be the 2 that stand out. That's a wake-up call to me to start paying attention to defensive stuff too.
I know. It's going to be like 4 weeks and we're going to have to talk about who our like picks are for XYZ awards. So we need to start paying attention to
Which
that.
is backwards for me because normally I'm all about defense. Like that's what I watch at games. Like I don't watch the ball. I watch defensive shifts and all that stuff. And for some reason I'm not on top of it this year.
For Omaha in this game, Kennedy Grant, 24 points, 5 rebounds. Katie Kite just had 15 points. Cora Olson also had 15 points. And then 9 for Aaliyah Stanley. Omaha also had spread out scoring. So Grace Cave and Janae Watson both put up 6. Morgan Gardner and Anna Nikolichkina both had a field goal. And Lucy Geifin, that is a name I've not said, had 1 point. So she must have hit a free throw at one point or another. But a lot of scoring, whereas Denver wasn't quite as many players who scored. So I think that may have played into their favor a little bit. But it was a great battle. It was super fun to watch.
Oh, for sure. And reading the recaps, Madison, it looked like it was just a game of runs built in. Denver had the lead 73-68 with 2.5 to go. And then Omaha closed it out on a 12-4 run. That was it.
Yeah. It was wild. That was what I did.
That'll be fun if that is the 8-9 matchup. That'll be a fun one to attend.
Yeah.
On Friday.
I think the 8-9 matchup is either going to be Denver Omaha or Denver Kansas City. I think Denver will be in it no matter what. It just seems like they've had just a little bit of a slower start.
Well, Omaha's got that one more loss than Denver and Kansas City right now.
Right now.
I don't know when Kansas – well, there it is. Kansas City plays Denver tomorrow. So that's a huge game for seeding.
My favorite I word, implications.
Implications.
Okay, so let's have a little chit chat. Actually, just kidding. Before we chit chat about tomorrow, two things. One, next Wednesday is National Girls and Women in Sports Day. We know that's a big deal to me. It should be a big deal to you if you listen to this podcast because we're all about the girly pops. We have an extremely special guest, one of my favorite humans on the planet, who's going to be on our show next week. We're not going to tell you who it is. Maybe we'll put out a Twitter poll to see if you can guess. But that also means I have to come up with other people that it could possibly be to put in the poll. So we'll see. But we have a special guest. We really want you to catch that. It'll be pre-recorded, but we'll drop it in at the end of our live. So make sure you come watch that.
It could be
The
or
other
couldn't
thing-
be Holly Rowe.
It could or could not be Holly Roll. Very much could be Holly Roll. Just throwing that out there. It's not Holly Rowe. Sorry. I'm not that cool. The closest I've gotten to somebody like that is Emily Eamon on the Volleyball Podcast, and that was pretty dope.
In a previous life, professional career-wise life, we were looking for a speaker for a women's event, and I actually got a hold of Holly Rowe and chatted with her about attending, and it's my claim to fame every time she's on TV. I'm like, I've talked with her. I have talked with her.
I was so embarrassing at a softball game I was working at Clemson last spring. Beth Mowens, who is Jesus to me, not literally, but kind of. She was doing the game, and of course I was there early because I was working, and I opened the gate for her. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, thanks so much." And I was like, "Oh, no problem." And I can't remember what she said, but she kind of started an in passing conversation. And I was like, "Oh, glad you guys made it safe. Have fun." And she was like, "Oh, are you a big softball fan?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, you liked my tweet on Twitter last year." Like, who the fuck says that? Why did I say that? But like, she's so cool. She tweeted something about hope you have your slippers. It was like for the Tax Act, like Clearwater Invitational. It's not the Tax Act Invitational anymore. But she was like, "Hope you're cozy at home with your blankets," because it's like February. And I took a picture and tagged her in it. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's my tweet." Anyway, that was my fangirl moment. But yeah, so we do have a special guest coming. She's all the rage. Love her to death. Make sure you're here for that next week. Other thing about next week for National Girls and Women in Sports Day, and I am stealing this idea from the UND athletic department because they asked people on Twitter to tell them who their favorite UND women's basketball player is so that they can display those answers next week during their celebration. We're stealing that idea. So we want you to send us short video clips, DM us short video clips, or hit up the podcast email, however you need to send that. I do mean short video clips because I have to be able to upload it. So don't make it super long. Of who you are, just first name, who your favorite Summit League women's basketball player is on a current roster, someone current. Tell us why. And we will string those together and play them during our live show next week. So video clip, cool. Name, favorite current Summit League player, why they're your favorite. And we will show those to honor National Women or Girls and Women in Sports Day.
Very cool, Madison.
That's cool. For next week. Thank you. Hopefully people actually do it.
We'll tweet it out enough to remind them.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever top the video we made last year. That was super fun. And of course, Ruth Sin ending it, talking about her mom. I was literally while we're recording that, I'm wiping tears away. I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, it's incredible. That video is still pinned on our Twitter from last year, from a year ago. So go watch that again if you need a refresher. Let's talk about the upcoming games. Tomorrow, just kidding, that's Saturday. Tomorrow, USD at UND. I'm going USD 82, UND 68.
I'm going to say the same, but 10 points lower on both sides.
All right.
I think I don't think USD is quite going to get quite that high. Let's go USD 75, UND 61. How's that?
Okay, I could take that. I wonder if USD, not what they scored this weekend, like 77 and 78.
Yeah.
I don't think that's low by any means, but I wonder if like they could have scored more had the other team lagged a little bit. Like they were pushed so much that I feel like maybe they would have been a little bit higher. So that's why I went higher. SDSU at NDSU. By the way, these Thursday games are all at 7 p.m. Central tomorrow. All of them will be on the Salt Lake Network. The USD UND game will also be on Midcoast Sports too. And I think the SDSU NDSU game will be on WDAY, presumably with Dom Izzo and somebody else. SDSU NDSU. This one could be close. I'm still going SDSU. Both because I'm a homer and because if you look at the stats, duh. But I don't think NDSU will be out of it by any means.
No, NDSU at home, I'll lean SDSU until they've shown like a kink in the armor, so to speak.
Right.
They have some, but they adjust to it. I don't know. The NDSU 8-0 at home, they play really well. They're going to watch that tape on St. Thomas. Obviously, State will too. SDSU will too. But I think there's a lot of positives for NDSU on what they have found how to maximize their potential in that game. So I think it'll be close. I think that they're both extremely well-coached teams. I think halftime, any adjustments will be made at the same level of expectancy of what needs to be done. So I'll lean SDSU, but like I said last week, this is my league Corso by a field goal. Just by a field goal.
Just by a field goal. I think with NDSU, I think they maybe don't have quite, by the last couple weeks, they don't have quite as many consistent scorers as SDSU does. So Elle Evans can go off, but if they can stop her, is Heaven going to be able to step up and make those other shots, or Abby Kay or Abby Draper, or whoever it may be? We'll see. Yeah. Who's next? Kansas City, Denver. I don't know, man. It's at Denver. There are parts of my heart that want this so bad for Denver, and there are parts of my heart that want this so bad for Kansas City because Kansas City played USD really tough this weekend. And you could argue at some point should have had that game. So it's like they're going to be hungry for a game. They know that Denver, out of all the teams on the schedule, at this point, Denver is the one they're most evenly matched with. So like this is a game. This is a good game for them to take advantage of.
This is they're both hungry. Oh my gosh, for a win. Yeah,
this is going to be the one to watch. I think if you
here's the pressure on you. Whatever your pick is, I'll go opposite.
You'll go opposite. You do that anyway half the time. God. It almost seems to me that Denver plays better outside of Hamilton. Mm-hmm. Their closer games in the conference have been on the road.
I'm curious if their attendance is going to ride with the men's team. Like, are they getting good attendance at the women's games? Like, are they able to ride that home court advantage?
Not really.
No.
Not from what I've seen. I'm going to go. I think Denver's super hungry, and I'm biased. So I'm going to say Denver 74, Kansas City 71.
Ooh.
That's what I'm going with.
So I'll go. I think the KC pressure is going to continue to dominate in the way that it has. Oh, I think we'll go Kansas City 68, Denver 64.
Okay, so you're going a little lower.
I'm going a little lower. So let it be written, so let it be done.
Okay, I'm typing this out. So I said Denver 74, KC 71. Jordan went Casey. What'd you say? 68. DU 64.
Yep.
All right. It's written in stone. Okay. Let's go. Who's next? Omaha St. Thomas. That's another tough one for me.
Omaha's only game this weekend.
Yeah. St. Thomas plays really good in Schenecker, though.
Yeah.
But Omaha's going to be high off that win, too.
I mean, obviously we're a fan podcast, so I'm going to, there's no consistency yet with Omaha where I trust them going up to Minneapolis or St. Paul, wherever, and beating St. Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to go St. Thomas. I'm not going to put a score out there because St. Thomas scoring was inconsistent last week. But
Right.
as far as consistent, like that was, I think I don't want to say it's an off game and have the Bison fans come at me because I am crediting NDSU with a very good day and who we know they are as a team. But I'm also just saying that's not who we know St. Thomas to be as a team from what they've shown
They
this
laid an egg.
season.
They laid an egg.
They absolutely laid an egg. So outside of that inconsistency, I think St. Thomas has been pretty consistent. I think they've been impeccable at home. I'm going St. Thomas. I think we should also look at Saturday. I know we try not to like make predictions on Saturday because we don't know what happens on Thursday. But I think Kansas City St. Thomas, this is tougher to me than Omaha St. Thomas because I don't think that St. Thomas has faced the pressure that Kansas City puts on. Timeout. Will this be the second time around? Let me look.
It should be.
It's got to be close to the second time around. Okay, women's basketball schedule is loading.
Oh God, that stupid bump with the Big Sky for some reason. No, it is the second time around. St. Thomas won by 9 last time.
Okay. Is this the beginning of the second time around?
Yes.
This will be the first game.
Well, hold on. No, because St. Thomas beat UND 95-76 in the opening weekend.
Oh.
So I think we're in a mix of probably game 1 or game 2 of
because the schedule has been so weird because of the bye.
Yeah.
And it's not been the travel partners are not as consistent as they used to be. I don't know that they even exist anymore. So cool. Okay.
Hey, we got good news though. We got good news. The start times of these games: 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock. This is what we want. Props for getting a day in scheduling.
Slow clapping league scheduling. That's amazing. At this rate, Ryan's gonna see this and be like, deny our credential for our sarcasm shenanigans or something. I think I told you in the group chat, when he emailed me back, he said, "Oh, you were the first to apply, so you can hang your hat on that." And I was like, "Oh, that should come with a prize, like guaranteed credential."
I just want a free hot dog.
Or like preferential. Dude, for real.
Just give me a free hot dog, a Sprite.
You probably didn't see, they're adding new media seating this year. They called it the end zone. I assume they meant the baseline, but there's going to be like a table on the baseline or part of the baseline.
So we're not on the sideline anymore?
No, most of the people are still going to be on the sideline, I think. They're adding additional seating on the baseline.
Oh, okay.
Which I assume is because they're pushing it for space every year because there's so much media. And they also have to have those spaces for, like, those extra media spaces are the coach, like, for the coaches to watch the other games or whatever.
Sure.
The games they're, like, scouting. Yeah. Okay. So Kansas City, St. Thomas. I'm going to say I think Kansas City's going to get St. Thomas this time. I think it's going to be like a 3 or 4 point. I think they're going to edge them out a little. NDSU, UND. I'm going NDSU. I've seen good things from UND. I have not seen consistency from UND.
Yeah, I'm going to back up one step and go the other way with you. Kansas City to at Denver and then going to St. Paul. That's a tough road trip. I hope they prove me wrong, obviously, because I love fighting through adversity and the underdog, but I'm going St. Thomas by 10, 15 points. I like NDSU as well against UND.
What?
Yep. St. Thomas, 85-70.
Okay, Skip.
St. Thomas isn't scoring that many points, but maybe they will. I don't know.
They actually could. Out of the teams in the league that you would think wouldn't, I think St. Thomas is one that would. Who's next? ORU Denver.
Mm-hmm.
That's at Denver. That's one thing that works in Denver's favor. What does ORU have? ORU does not play Thursday. So they have the extra rest coming off the SDSU game where they pressed forever. And I'm sure that was a mentally taxing game, being in Frost. Not that Frost was full by any means, but playing in Frost is hostile no matter what. Kind of like playing at USC. Being in Frost, being tied at the half, going through a third quarter that was both mentally and physically draining, traveling back to Tulsa. Sure, you have the extra time, but now you have to go to Denver. So I think that they may be a tad bit slower, not slower. Maybe not all their shots are going in. I think they'll still play their game, but it maybe not be as productive. But I still think they're going to be too much for Denver to handle. But maybe Denver's in it for a little bit longer.
I agree. I think matchup-wise, we saw in that first one that it's just not – Denver's just not quite matched up well with ORU. Denver lost by 31 in the first meeting. But, again, like St. Thomas against NDSU, maybe ORU lays an egg. But matchup-wise, I don't see it going Denver's way.
I also think Denver's a different team now. Like what we saw at the beginning of the season from them was just like not the ball movement and the like teamwork aspect was like not coming out on the court. They looked not put together. You couldn't get 4 good quarters out of Denver. And I think they're getting much closer to getting 4 good quarters.
And you've done a good job bringing that up in previous episodes too, is like if we can get a full 40 minutes of Denver, like we had, what did I say? 2 minutes. We had 38 minutes in the Denver Omaha game, but those last 2 ended up being the reason why they lost.
Yeah. My internet's cutting out. You're frozen right now. Oh, you look better now. Okay. There would probably be some weird, like, not staticky, but like where the audio is up really fast or whatever. That happened in the last episode. Sometimes it only happens like on the live, and in the recording it's fine. But last episode it was in the recording too. So my little Wi-Fi button letting me know that it's unstable has been up the entire time we've been on here. So okay. Last one, we are interstate series again. SDSU down at the SDSC this time. That is a 6 p.m. game. Midcoast Sports 2 and Summit League Network. The rest of the Saturday games are also on the Summit League Network.
Oh, wow. That's 6 o'clock. Whoops. I thought it was a 1 o'clock game. I had made plans for after the game. Whoops.
You better cancel those.
I better cancel them.
Move them to before. Can you do them before?
Oh, for sure. There's a new brewery in Vermilion, 19 Brewery on Main Street there. I was like, oh, yeah, we'll go for like a 4 or 5 o'clock beer. I guess we could still be before the game though.
Go for like a 2:30 beer.
That's nap time. The boys are going to be napping in the car, not waking them up.
Oh my gosh. I mean, hey, if you're going to be in the room all day, Lord knows there's nothing to do there but drink.
Well, there's a pizza ranch now that you can have liquor in the arcade zone.
Is that what we're so still drinking? You're proving my point.
Well, hey. No one said
I didn't say there was anything to do in Brookings either. What'd you say?
No one said it had to be pretty.
Oh, it's not. We know. You could adopt a new cat or 5.
No, they leave that to Domino's to adopt all the cats that go over there. I don't know if they still do that. They used to have like little homes built on the backside, but that's too much into the weeds. Let's talk State U.
That's kind of cute. Yeah, I'm going State. I don't know if this one will be. I think it'll still be a close first half, like normal, maybe even a close third quarter. I'm going to lean SDSU, but I'm not going to count USD out.
No, that's fair. For sure. I think matchup-wise, State's proven that they match up better than most of the teams in the league. I still like ORU's matchups against them. It's how they execute in that full 40 minutes, right? But USD's gotten there's not a lot of time in between, so there's not been enough time to be like, oh, USD's drastically improved or State's kind of right. They've done this. Like it's been it'll be 2 weeks in between the games. I think there's a couple of factors here that should really motivate the USD women is what happened in Brookings, but also remember the ass whooping that occurred last year at the SCSC. I was there. That was next to the Northern Iowa football game at the end of 2022. That was the most, I think, embarrassed I had heard and seen the fans leave a sporting event at USD that I can remember. They just went, how can we allow that to happen? Because wasn't it like a 30-40 point game or something? It was
drastic. I don't remember that. There's so many State U games in my memory that I can't separate them out anymore. Surprisingly, the one that I was absolutely hammered at is the one I remember the most. But
right, but I think there's a multitude of things that need to go right for USD. They have to get good bench production. They need to control the points in the paint. State does a really good job of dominating. Really quick, I did write something down about the points in the paint. It was the SDSU Kansas City 42-10 in the paint, and I believe it was for the State U first round or first matchup this year. It was close to that. So I'm going to be biased. I think State can get a double figure lead, and then USD crawls back into it. They use the energy in the SCSC, use the home court a little bit. I would love to see a couple thousand fans there. It's not going to be a sellout. When the building first got built, those were sellouts, but you just haven't seen the consistency to pack that place. So I think for a girls' basketball, and just like in Brookings, Madison too, this too. If you can get 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 fans there, I mean that's amazing for a girls' basketball game in those like gyms that are right on top of you. So I expect a good crowd. I'm biased. I'll go with the Yotes.
All right, love to hear
it. By a field goal.
By a field goal. I love it. That's so funny. I was totally going to say something or bring something up, but I can't even remember what it was. So we will release you, listener, for the evening. Please watch something like basketball tomorrow. Watch the DU Kansas City game. It's gonna be good. I'm not gonna promise, but I think it'll be good. I don't have anything else to say, really. Send us your videos for National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Why can I not get that right? I mix it up all the time. And make sure you tune in next week to see who our guest is. Drop your predictions on Twitter. Jordan, any parting thoughts?
No, thanks to any and all the listeners, no matter the fan base. If you can, make sure you go support student athletes. Yeah, I'm here. Go to the games.
Hold up.
Oh.
Hold up.
You're frozen.
You're frozen. Can you move? Oh. Make a gesture so I can see you.
I'm moving. Can you hear me?
You're a little laggy. Yeah, you're a little laggy, but try that again, whatever your parting thoughts were.
It was just thanks to any and all that listen. But if you're a fan of your school and you live close by, definitely go to a game. If you're a fan of your school and live in another city of the Summit League team, go check it out. Go support the women's basketball. Madison and I try our best to amplify and elevate women's basketball in the Summit League, because I won't get too much on the soapbox, but I am also with Madison. I do not like it when media members say that the Summit League is down. It is not the case. That is a closed-minded view of folks that only watch a couple teams. The league is talented, and just because one or two teams are not head and shoulders above everybody else, that is in no way saying that the league is down. In fact, I would say the league has gotten better each and every year as it's progressed. So we've talked about it. We'll continue to talk about it, how young, how talented the league is. And I can't wait. We got 5 weeks left until March to the Summit.
5 weeks to Summit.
Love it.
Can you believe that? I booked my Airbnb. I'm ready to go. I'm driving. It's going to be monotonous. It's fine though.
That's my point.
I don't know if the 14 hours is worse or the $80 round trip in tolls is worse.
Tolls. Hate tolls.
Yeah, 1,000%. One last thing. Jordan had said, we do our best to amplify, and that's absolutely true. That's absolutely the goal here. However, if you see this little thing in the right-hand corner of your screen that says sponsored by nobody, and you want to help us amplify, you can change that. That's my last shameless plug. I actually don't know how to work with sponsorships and don't want the IRS to come for me. So wait till I get somebody to help me with that first. But yeah, sponsored by nobody. You can absolutely change that. We are out.